Our Venda traditional leader, Chief Livhuwani Matsila, has urged the ANC to act decisively against those in its ranks implicated in the VBS scandal or run the risk of losing more electoral support. Tens of thousands of depositors were defrauded of their life savings, and to date, over 30 arrests have been made. The defunct bank's chairperson was recently slapped with 15 years in jail. Victims of the fraud, however, say the arrests mean nothing if there is no restitution. Chief Livhuwani Matsila, who is a secretary of the ANC Electoral Committee, joins us now for more in this discussion. Chief Livhuwani, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
No, thank you very much for having me here.
I think, you know, this matter has been going on for a long time, but I think let's just start after that affidavit was leaked by that convicted now former chair of VBS. For you as a community, for you as the chief and the people of the area as well, those depositors too, did it feel like a triggering, an opening of the wound again?
Yes, it was a major opening of the wound. It's very, very painful to actually understand the intention of Mr. Matozi and his team to actually deliberately defraud the bank and actually ensure that the beneficiaries don't have their monies when they want to go and recover their monies. So it was a very, very sad moment for us. We did not know what has happened. Before then we were gazing as to what could have happened, and everybody had their own version. But it begins to give a skeletal picture of what happened. I think more could come out of that kind of version that he has there.
And what was your reaction when you then saw, because, you know, as you're saying, you were kind of guessing, there were rumors around, but then when you saw it in this affidavit, you know, signed under oath, and you saw how it all went about as well, what were your biggest surprises?
Shocking to learn that as many people, especially those who are leaders in society and those who are learned in society, who are educated, some of them are educated from the same funds of VBS where their parents would have banked with the institution. So it was quite shocking. One could freeze with the kind of shock that you would receive after really reading all of that. It's horrifying and terrifying stuff. You actually get very scared as to, can this really happen in our country, in that kind of community, which is known to be very peaceful and very, very stable. Up until then, we were like, this is unbelievable.
When you saw, I mean, you're also part of the ANC as well, and you're taking a tough stance to say it doesn't matter, we need to deal with this quite firmly, you know, and take a serious stance on this, albeit those arrests that have been made, it's not enough. There's still those people who have lost, there are people who have already passed on now, and there are people who are still paying back those loans. And as you're describing just the area as well in the community, that it's a peaceful place, but also it's a place that needs that kind of economic pumping into it. So when you steal from them, what kind of effect has it had when you are making your way around the community and speaking to people?
You know, the members of the society, especially the victims, are now helpless. Some of them are running out of food. You will see that we do run programs to provide food to those kinds of communities on a monthly basis and now on a daily basis in some cases. So it's quite a very sad situation. And some of them have actually passed away due to depression and associated mental illnesses because of this kind of an issue. And they've unfortunately passed away, one, without understanding what really would have gone wrong, as we have come to know now, and secondly, without getting their money back, which is much more important for us, is that monies that were stolen should be recovered and be paid back to those that need them the most.
And after seeing some of those names that have popped up, you know, the former TG at the time of the ANC's William Kiza that's come up, the former mayor at the time also, Florence, who also came up with, you know, the 300,000 Rand for Christmas money as well. And watching these people who are not being held accountable, who have not been paying the money back to those victims of this looting, what has that been like for them, to not see them being held to account?
No, I think it's a very sad situation to see that political parties, just not the ANC. Now we come to learn about the EFF's involvement, the SACP is also implicated. So all political parties, in our view and experience, are not doing what they should do to hold those who are alleged to have done something wrong accountable. And there are processes in all parties, especially in the ANC. You know, these kinds of issues, in our view, bring the ANC into serious disrepute of a serious magnitude for that matter. And if internal processes in the ANC are not followed, we get to a stage where it is seen that the ANC is not doing enough. For instance, those that are implicated ought to go through the process of the Integrity Commission to test if they've acted improperly or unethically or immorally. And if that is the case, then those cases can be referred to the disciplinary processes. But none of that is happening. So the ANC then sits and say, you are not guilty until proven otherwise, but actually not following its own internal processes for so many years. Back then, we had raised this issue with the top 6 of the ANC at that time. And we raised it sharply that why are you not applying your own constitution to deal with these kinds of issues? Because when you don't do that, you get people who have got issues hanging over their heads. And if you subject them to the internal processes, you are either going to say you are wrong and therefore you must be expelled from the party, or in our view, there's not enough evidence as yet. Let the law enforcement process take its course.
What kind of a response do you get? Because the ANC has been pretty mum since this leaked affidavit. There's been much focus on the EFF as well, and of course the revelations that have resurfaced about the SACP as well. But internally, when you do speak to the ANC currently, what do they say?
No, look, we do engage at various levels, more informally, less informally since this issue has arisen. But you don't get a sense that the matter is taken as serious as it should be. And the fact that there is no coherent statement from the ANC as to how it will deal with the new issues that have come to the fore. That, for instance, there's a donation that the ANC is purported to have received through its former Treasurer General. Now, how is that? That must be processed. It must be investigated, looked at properly so that there are answers to the community. Now, when there is no response, the community would then start to think that the community is taken for granted. And it's not a good posture for a party that has not been gaining support. And its primary support base, being the ANC, it's ourselves in Limpopo, and particularly that region. I think now that in that region, the ANC will have obtained more than 80% of support. In some sub-regions, it's 90 or 100%. So that's how serious the support base is for the ANC, where we are.
And speaking of that support base as well, it was, from these elections as well, 74.3% of the vote in Limpopo went to the ANC. So a stronghold for the ANC. So that is a constituency to take very seriously. But as a secretary of the ANC's electoral committee, how difficult was it for you to campaign for the ANC against the backdrop of a VBS?
And it's very difficult. You get these questions all the time. Especially where the victims and the community at large is saying, when are we getting the money? Will we ever even get the money? And part of the problem is that there's nobody who goes to give feedback from the liquidator's side. And I think then government has got a responsibility to go to communities and give feedback to say, we have recovered so much money, we will then be paying you in tranches or in whatever manner as follows. And for how long will that be occurring? Now we just hear that there's 159 million rand that has been recovered, but you don't know where it is going. It's probably going to the bigger clients of the defunct bank.
Earlier, Chief, you were also speaking about just the depression and just the toll that it's taken on the community as well, and those depositors too. Some of them are still paying off those loans to this day. Is that correct?
Yes, they're still paying off those loans, but the money is not there. What they had saved then in the bank, it's just evaporated like water, and now we are stuck with families that go hungry on a daily basis. We are stuck with students whose school fees are outstanding and are not paid.
That must put you in such a difficult position, you know, because you are a part of the ANC, but also you are the chief as well in the area. So how do you then manage those dynamics to say to the community, look, I also don't have the feedback, but I'd like to assist as well, and then going to your mother body and going to your party, and your party is not also coming to the table?
No, you're right. In the process, you also get compromised when you don't have answers, which is why interviews like this help us to clarify our position, that to the best of our ability, we are trying to get answers, but answers are not forthcoming. They probably then come forward in the form of an affidavit like that one of Mr. Matodzi. That's why we're calling for more people to come forward so that the answers can be provided. Communication must be improved around these issues to actually bring a bit of peace in the area.
And calling for more people to come forward as well, for the people who have already been named in this affidavit as well, but haven't yet been investigated fully and charged, who would you like to see next in the docket?
Well, you never know. I mean, in terms of the hierarchy of the bank and everybody, it's a mix-up. Anybody should just come forward. You never really know who took how much as it is now, where did the money go. So it's very difficult to say next it should be this one or next it should be the other. But primarily those who were at the helm of the bank like him should be the ones that start to talk because they know more than everybody else.
And Chief Matsila, before I let you go, I guess at the center of this as well has to be those people who fell victim to this looting of this bank as well. Is there any way that, you know, ordinary citizens can assist? You were talking now as well that you are providing food aid for some as well.
No, I think if people are able to donate clothes, donate food and talk to us, some people need counseling. There are some individuals, you know, who are breadwinners who are calling. Someone has lost, I think, 6 million rand altogether, and they are depressed. They say, what can we do? So I think that if some people can also join forces with us to assist the victims, whether it's distributing blankets in winter or any form of assistance or providing bursaries to the students will be much appreciated at this point in time, because as it is, we are isolated. Nobody is looking after us. We are on our own. The big giants have stolen and they are gone.
Such a pity after the ANC even garnered that big of a vote there. But yes, appreciate you sharing that as well, and hopefully more and more people will be donating and assisting. Thank you so much for coming into studio and sharing this information with us.
Thank you so much.